Hey guys, welcome back to RL Design Innovation. My name's Brian, and what are we going to do today? I'm going to show you how to calibrate your camera on your laser with the laser using Lightburn 2.0 Release Candidate 5. You're going to say, what are we doing different today than I've showed you in other videos? In other videos, I showed you how to use the offset setting within the device area to calibrate the camera with your laser, and that mimicked your camera becoming like your red dot pointer. We're not doing that. What we are going to use is the X shift and the Y shift capability within the laser camera area. Why is that important? Because when you export your settings for the camera out, after you have everything calibrated using the camera alignment tool where you put the wood in and you align for the thickness of the wood, and then you go through and calibrate using X and Y shift, it then, when you export, it ties that X shift and the Y shift variables to that camera alignment. As most people know, as you do different calibrations based on the different materials thicknesses and you create all these camera alignment files, it's so important to have your X shift, Y shift tied to that file so you don't have to write down, like I did in the past, the offsets for that camera alignment. This will make life so much easier, so you can have 5 materials, 10 materials, whatever you do. But if you have multiple users using your laser system, you don't have to show them, for this offset, it's this numbers for this material thickness. So for this material thickness, you have to use this offset. All they have to do is import that camera calibration file for whatever material thickness you are using. Let's get over to the workstation. Let's calibrate the camera and then do some engravings so we can look how accurate it is. Let's get going. Okay, so we're in Lightburn. This is Lightburn 2.0. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to disable the offset. So I'm going to go Laser Tools, Device Settings. I'm going to disable the offset, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to do as part of calibrating, I'm going to focus the laser. Go over here, go over there, focus the laser. While that's focusing, we're going to just draw a little box. Let me go over here, and I'm going to put one, we'll do it right over here. Right like that. Okay. And then we're going to go to Cut Layers. I have from before, my speed is 250 and my power is 20, but this is what I'm doing. When I do vector drawing, I always hit constant power mode. This way you get a sharp line, and your laser, you can actually keep this setting, the max power, less than you normally do because it's a constant output. So let's do this. I have my exhaust fan on. We have just focused. Let's do this. I'm going to start. Again, I went to the adjust area and you notice my X shift and my Y shift is 0. Now what I'm going to do is update the overlay. I'm going to go in, update it, and you can see it's not too bad, not too shabby, I should say. It's off a little bit. I'm going to say we're going to move the image over a little bit. So if I go to adjust, my X, I want to move to the right a little bit. I'm going to say it is 0.2. The Y, I want to bring it up a little bit. So it's going to be negative. Let's try negative 0.2. So minus 0.2. Okay. Now we hit save. Just for argument's sake, let's do this. Let me, it would help if let me set the selection tool. Now let's move this over here. And we're real zoomed in. This is not a big square we're doing. Okay, so we did that. Let's do it again. And hit yes. Now we're going to update the overlay and see how well this is. I think I liked it before. And the Y, I think the X is pretty good. Maybe a little over. Let's go back. Let's 0. Now I want to show you something. I did a number before without playing with it. If you notice, I'm moving these things. Before we did the X and Y shift on an initial drawing. Now that we see everything, what I'm going to do, let's start playing, and you see it on the screen. So let's do 0.2. Right there, you saw the X shift moved. Let's do 0.22. Let me go back over here. Actually, we'll do 0.5. Is that too much? I think so. So I'm going to move this 0.3. I think that's perfect. Now let's try the Y shift. Same thing. 0.2. Let's see the direction. It's going to go 0.2. It's going upward. I think that is pretty accurate. We zoom in. It's right in the middle of the line there. Right in the middle of the burn line there. So our X shift calibrate, look how easy that was. X shift 0.3, Y shift 0.2. We save this. We're going to do another test. Let's do it somewhere else. Let's go right here, right there. Let it engrave. Now we're going to go in. We're going to update the overlay. Zoom in. And that looks good. I mean, you got the afterburn a little bit. We could probably adjust it just a slight if we want to. So let's go back to the adjust. Y, let's try 0.3. Or 0.4. Let's try 0.4. This 0.4. I think that's dead on. So you can see how we do this. Now let's try for accuracy. So let me go from here before we save the file. So I'm going to do number 1 right here. We're going to bring this in, zoom in. I'm going to put this right about here. Okay. That looks good. We're going to start again. We'll see how that is, how accurate that is. Update the overlay. And that looks great. But let's do something that we normally would do. I want to go here. I'm going to draw a line. Let me draw here, right here. I'm going to draw a quadrant or a triangle. Let's try this. Go here and right here. Okay. Now, let's say we want an ellipse. I'm going to go right here. Right about that. Let's see how that looks. If I hit Alt-P, that's all we're getting. Okay. Let's try it. Let's see how accurate that is. It's a little bigger. Okay. Let me update the overlay. And you can see we're pretty accurate. We can fine tune a little bit, but you can see the little afterburn over here. Again, this plywood is not the best. You can see it on there as well. Let me go right here. But it is really dead on. Let's try another one. Let me over here. Let's try something different. Again, I'm showing you how to calibrate the camera with your laser. Let's try another. Let's do a point. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go from this point, right? Let's zoom in even further. Right here. And I'm going to go right here. Say you're doing architecture plans, not that you would engrave them, but let's see, we're going to go right to the point there. Okay. Alt P is just a line, correct? Let's start. Yes. So again, instead of using the offset where you go around, you do one square on the screen or a number, and then you use the X shift and Y shift just to align it. Do the update overlay. It's dead on. Now, we just saved it, we calibrate it, we want to keep, if I go to adjust over here, we want to keep this X and this Y, we like it, we click again, save. Now we right click, and we say right here, export camera settings. Okay, I'm going to use this one I was playing with. So basically what I do is I give it a name, I give it, this is my X and Y shift, and the date. And this is 3mm wood. And then I say save. I'm replacing it because there was one there. Now, let me show you this. This is what's cool. Say you had another material before, and I had 10, and I had 20, okay? You can see how everything's moving around. I'm gonna say save, but I'm like, okay, now I'm going to different material. Let's load in my camera calibration from before. So that's this one right here that we just saved before. I hit open. Remember, watch this X shift and this Y shift right there. There you go. Look how nice this is. It brought back your X shift variable and your Y shift variable. That way you don't have to write it down like I used to write it down on a file. I used to do this. This will eliminate you having to write this down. If you notice, this is what I used to do. I used to write the name of the file, Lightburn version, and the offset, X and Y. Current Lightburn 2.0, X and Y. It was always dead on. It worked properly, but this is a little easier using the X shift and the Y shift. And you don't have to write it down. So now you've learned how you can calibrate using X shift and Y shift, and it is accurate. Let's try a couple other items on here. We'll go over here now. Let's bring in clip art. All right, I'm bringing in clip art. Just bringing this little thing right here. I'm going to put it right over here. Okay. If I hit Alt T, it shows you what we're drawing. Okay. I'm going to, since this is still a line, I'm going to keep, if I go back to my cut layers, I have this at 250 speed at 10 power. I'm going to increase this to 15 power. But I'm constant, so it's 15 constantly. It's not a variable where you get bursts. Now I'm going to go laser, start, and let's do the engraving. Okay, it's done. What I have to tell you, when you use the cut layers, when you're using the constant power, you can lessen the power of your laser. Like even this is still very black and I'm at 15 if I recall. Yeah, I'm 15 power. I could probably reduce this to 10, but I'm going to try increasing the speed. We're going to do it again after this. But let's see here. Capture, update overlay. And it's great. You can see. Perfect. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do one more right here. But I'm going to increase the speed. I'm going to go to 400. I'm going to leave the 15 power, and let's go for it. Let's see how this works. See if the 15 constant power still works well with this. We are done. Let me update the overlay. And I increased the speed, and it still came out perfect. Again, using the constant power, you're not seeing it as well in here. I'll take this out just to show you real quick. Hopefully you can see. There you go. It's hard to do for opposite. There you go. You can see the engraving at that speed at only 15% power on this plywood is awesome. And the camera doesn't do it justice. Throw it in here. like anybody else would throw a piece of wood in there. Let's update the overlay one more time. Okay, obviously it's opposite. I'm going to delete this. I want to do one other thing. I'm going to draw from here, a line, to here, to here, and back, right about there. Okay. Go in, you can see, you know, it's not perfect, but it's good. Alt P. There it is. Now we're going to do laser again, and we're going to start. Hit yes. Okay. Update the overlay. Go over here, go to select. And I don't have, in Lightburn 2.0, you can have I don't have it enabled, but you enable it so when you're done drawing, it goes into select mode automatically. I don't have it on right now. But you can see, there it is. It's a little light in here. This part of the board might be a little harder. But again, we're going at 400 speed at only 15% power, which is really incredible if you think about that. Let's try right over here again. Gonna do that. Start. Yes. And someone I know is going to ask me the question, how come I didn't refocus the laser after I put the wood back in? Because I didn't change the material thickness. It's the same material, I just plopped it back on there. So that's why I didn't do a refocus. Okay. And again, there we are. What did we do today? We went through how to calibrate your camera with your laser system using the X shift and the Y shift. And again, the benefits of this right now versus the offset is when you after you calibrate, you click save and you export these out to export camera settings. It's part of it. And again, when you're calibrating different material thicknesses, you do the Calibrate Camera Alignment, you run through it. Once that's done and it's all aligned, you do the X shift and the Y shift calibration. Once it's perfect, you export your camera settings out using the settings right here. You give it a name and you're done with that thickness. 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter, whatever it is. So you can see the Calibrate camera using X shift and Y shift is great. You see it real time on the screen when you're adjusting. That's what I want to show today, because as I learn new things, I pass it out there. Maybe it's not new to someone else out there, but it was new to me after I spoke to the developer today, and that you can now export the X and the Y as part of your camera calibration. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up. Next time, what we're going to do is I went to the FDR Presidential Library the other day, and I got some pine cones from a tree that was on there. We're going to put that into acrylic and do something fun with that as a memory of me going with my family to see the FDR Presidential Library. Till next time, be well. Thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day.